I call this meeting to order. It's 10 a.m.
Mr. Geller.
Here.
Commissioner Cater.
Here.
Commissioner Buckley. We have a quorum present.
As you wish, please stand for the pledge and the invocation.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, please be with us throughout the day as we try to do the best for the county. Be with everybody, keep them safe, and hopefully they'll spend time with their families and know your word. I ask this in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Got it. Here. There we go. Consent agenda. I don't have it on my screen here, but I got it up there. Approval of the minutes for last week's meeting, monthly reports for the collector and the county clerk, and sales tax report from the treasurer. Motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda for May 4th.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and we do have one table agenda item, but last week we didn't know if that was a seizure or repossession or what. We didn't know anything about it, so we tabled it. Now we find out that it's actually owned by the insurance company and they're gonna handle it, so it's not an issue, so moving right along. Okay, now we're going to regular business. Seek approval to hire assistant for the emergency manager. Nick?
Nick Jones, Emergency Management Director. I'm just trying to get approval to put out applications for a assistant for emergency management. There's quite a bit we need to do paperwork-wise and help with inventory and other things as we go, and then it'll also provide a backup for me if I can't be there or something happens to me. We're not left in the dark if something happens. I do know that it is not on my budget right now, so it would have to be something that would have to be added to the budget. But
And our HR is out, and I wanted to talk to her about the dollar amounts and budgeting, like you say, and all that. So now let's talk about approval to hire an assistant, but wait on the details until we get Corey back. Does that make sense? Is it all right if we just take this under advisement?
whatever you guys will do, I'm okay with whatever.
But when that emergency hits, you're gonna need backup.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a 24/7
definitely, yes.
situation.
Nick, you have some issues coming up too. I mean, some items where you're gonna be
Yeah,
the,
I know that on the 19th of
Prepping.
this month, we're putting a hospital team together out at the firehouse, so we got a couple things like that we're gonna be doing, and I got the inventory still to do on the trailers, so.
you need help, call me.
Yeah.
I'll help you.
Well, with Corey, if you want, with Corey being out right now, if we could table that and just take it under advisement, and we'll
What do you, now tabling means next week.
next week. I think that ought to be all right. I don't know if that gives her enough time.
Yeah, we can table it till next week, and
Yeah,
if we
let's
don't
do that.
have it, we'll table it
Let's
till.
table it till next, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cause that'll,
Let's-
that'll right. you-
Motion to table.
You have a motion to
Yes.
table?
Motion to table.
You can second.
Okay, motion, second to table, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you,
Thank you, Nick. We'll get that done as soon as we can.
Okay, request to bid windows for the courthouse, maintenance department's asked for this, so we need just a, permission for him to request the bids.
I'll make a motion, we have the maintenance department request bids for the windows for the courthouse.
I'll second that.
And as a comment, I'll say that the windows we have now are like screens, they're just really leak a lot of air, and it's a problem.
So this isn't part of any type of, COVID thing, it's just a building, a maintenance upgrade.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know.
And we have one of the people that we use, St. Francis Glass has closed. They're
Yeah.
no longer, we use those, so he's having to bid with other people, so they went out of business.
Well, they're retired.
Yeah, retired.
Okay, motion to let him get the bids?
We did.
I'll make a motion
No,
to,
did you second
Or-
it? Did you
yeah.
second it?
Just need to
Yeah.
vote.
Okay, so we have a motion second.
Yeah,
Is there any
I'll
more
second.
comment? Yes, Rich,
Old courthouse or the annex?
Old Courthouse.
Thank you.
Uh,
We're gonna utilize the engineering consultants for this.
He's talked to them already, I believe. I'll check on that, yeah. Any other questions, comments? Well, we will make sure of that, yeah. When the city came out with the rule that you had to be 25 feet away from the building to smoke, we didn't have to do that as a county because we don't have to follow their rules. But I jumped on that because people standing too close to the building, the people inside can enjoy their smoke. There's that much air leakage. So that's why we have the 25-foot rule here too. Okay, motion second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Approve election annual bids, Mr. Clerk.
That was just to clarify the way Jackie
Yeah, only reason that was on there is we had some, as I explained 2 weeks ago, that we had to use Atkins and stuff for the specific things that were directly related, but then we had one company that was low bidding, even considering the low, it was out of state, even considering the differential, so she clarified which ones got awarded the bids.
Okay. So it's clarification of the previously approved?
Yeah, we've approved the bids, and she just awarded them because several of them were different. Some of them fell under mineral area office supply, and some of them were specialized bids that they just went ahead.
No dollar amounts changed?
Ah,
Okay.
no, the auditor's office just asked for clarification which ones we're gonna be awarded to who.
So we need to approve the clarification of that.
I would.
Yeah, okay. Do I have a motion for clarification of that?
I'll make a motion, we approve the election annual bids, the clarification that was made, so I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Ryan Miller, I don't see him in. I don't see him, but he wants to approval to apply for the fiscal year 2021 grant. And I was hoping for an explanation. of
I
what
believe
that-
that's what he talked about when he was here just a couple weeks ago.
Couple
that he
weeks
would-
ago,
Yeah.
Yeah, he
that
was here.
He was here and he said this is the grant that they wanted to apply for, and that they would be doing it and they would be seeking approval for that.
Okay, would be seeking, okay,
Yes.
so
And
today's
now
the
they're
day.
seeking.
Okay.
Today's the seeking.
Okay, to have a motion to approve his
I'll make the
application.
motion that we approve for him to apply for the fiscal year 2021 grant for the prosecutor attorney's office.
Second,
I'll second that.
questions? Yes,
What is it for?
Kevin, do you remember what
You
he?
want me to?
It is for, it's actually for monies to help them with their wages, the grant to approve, to help them with monies in their office.
I understand that, but what does that mean?
What they want to do is apply for a grant that's going to help them to bring some, I guess, salaries up into where they've done the study of how, what.
Can I
Yes, go
clarify
ahead,
that?
sorry.
Statewide, every couple of years, we have to apply for a grant. Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant. And it's to help supplement the cost of the prosecutor office on the judicial, help them with their funding. Especially a lot of the smaller counties that cannot properly fund the prosecutor's office and the other agencies that are under that office. We've had it in the past, and they would like to reapply for that. It doesn't create new things. It's to help supplement our budget to be able to do things that we're required to do through the state. That's the way he described it.
That's what he's describing.
We do the same thing for sheriff's deputies.
They did that last week.
Yeah, he came.
No, that was a presentation.
That was a presentation, and this is the official that we're going to apply for. The
No,
Missouri
no,
Department,
no.
well, he called and said
Amber
he
come
had to
in.
have the,
Amber was up here last week. That's good.
No, I think we're talking about two different grants.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's
they,
two
they,
different
yeah,
grants.
that was the.
this is
that
the
was
Department of
the-
Public Safety.
Yeah, I can get the notes on it, but that was the grant that they applied for, and this is the, what was it called, I'm sorry, the,
Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant.
Assistant grant, yes,
It's
it's
through the
just
JAG.
another grant on top
And
of
that's
the
the
other one,
Department of
yes.
Public
They both have the same name.
That was a little
Is
bit.
Is that what she asked?
Yeah, that's what,
That
it
right?
was on the agenda last week. Amber, that's what she
Amber.
spoke on. That's what's on the agenda last week.
But did we approve for them to apply for the grant
Yes.
last week?
Yeah, but it was, Amber did it
Yes,
under,
okay.
I don't know. if
Their
she did it
department?
before then.
Well, we can get a clarification
Please do,
for you,
yes.
or you can apply for their application if it's a separate application. And all you're doing is applying, so. I wish you could see it because you're supposed to.
Yeah, because there was two different, I know there's two different grants.
We'll get him to clarify, put it on the agenda for next week.
Thank you.
So is that table?
Let's, I'll make
I
a
would
motion that we
motion to
table the grant,
Application.
approval.
Okay, is that a motion?
I made a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Request for proposal, Assessor's Office. Mr. Eric.
Eric Udell, Assessor's Office, and we're requesting a proposal for mapping services for the Assessor's Office.
Who does that?
Right now, Danny Edgar handles all of our mapping. He's gonna be retiring, and we're gonna reach out to,
Okay. You're talking about replacement of Danny.
correct.
Okay, right. That's a in-depth job.
Yeah,
That man's
all.
skilled, yeah.
I bet.
I think I want clarification. I don't think it's to replace Danny. I think you're asking for mapping services, are you not?
Danny's
Yeah.
retiring in June 30th of this year.
So you're not
It's a-
looking for a person? you're
No,
looking-
it's a
Right,
company
it's
that
a
will do
company.
what Danny does.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
for clarification.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And, just a second, are there multiple, companies that do this?
I,
Two that we know
Yeah,
of
two that we
possibly,
Oh, at least two.
yes.
Speaking of,
Okay, but we'll come back to that. Okay, you want to make a motion?
So he's retiring, we're getting a new company, and that's what you're gonna go out and seek, proposal for.
yes, we're requesting for proposal for that.
And I will make a motion, you guys, for the request of the proposal for the mapping services for the assessor's office.
Second?
Okay, I was gonna ask you one thing, is this gonna be permanent until you have a replacement that learns, or will this be permanent?
We can go year by year because we have someone potentially in the office that could
And then
fill
when they
this
learn
position.
that, then you
Yes.
can go, oh, okay, I'll second that.
Okay, now, Vaughn, you had a question?
I'm just trying to figure out if we're following Robert's Rules of Order here, or if we're making it up.
I'm
as we
having
go
trouble
along.
hearing you, Vaughn. I'm sorry.
Are we following Robert's Rules of Order, or are we doing some sort of hybrid, making it up as we go along? I'm not really sure what's happening here.
I'd be happy to answer that. We technically don't have to ask permission to seek bids for things, but the commission in the past has made a rule that they would like to always approve the seeking of that, and since this person is retired, then we have to seek new people for it. And if they do that, then, and decide to do that, one of them will make a motion for him to seek proposals for the new person, but that won't be awarding the contract until those proposals are reviewed, and they come forth and say, this is our recommendation for the proposal. So under Robert's Rules of Order, what they will do is make a motion to seek approval, even though it's not totally necessary to go, because you can go in as a office holder, I can go seek bids all the time, but they've made a policy that we want to approve seeking bids, and so that's what we're doing.
I understand, that really wasn't what I was asking. I'm talking about the way this meeting is conducted, the discussion, commentary, the question, what's the order?
Yes, we are following,
Okay,
if that's answering your question. Because every time that something's made, the motion's made, it's seconded, he opens it for discussion to anybody on the floor, then he calls for the question.
okay, so the gentlemen at the table, are they part of the floor? Because I was
Absolutely.
getting
During the
confused.
discussion period, to ask questions, yes.
I was getting confused because a motion hadn't been made and there was participation in the whole conversation about it from the floor. And I was thinking that I have to wait until a motion has been made to participate in the conversation. And I was just wondering what the process was before a motion is made. Who gets to participate in the conversation before the motion is made? Is that open to the floor? Because I think the previous motion didn't really have any conversation.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. You can have discussion on anything prior to a motion. After the motion is made, the discussion is supposed to be limited to the motion.
I see.
And that's when it's opened up, but somebody can ask for the time of day right now. Once he makes the motion, seconds the motion, ask for discussion, the discussion is on that motion.
Okay, so we can still talk about it,
Absolutely.
anything before a
Absolutely.
motion is made?
Absolutely, and if you would like to do it after, then you have, the
You have
motion
to
has
limit
to be
to
on the.
the motion itself.
Correct.
Gotcha. Thanks, I appreciate the
Not a problem.
I'm good.
Okay, we've got do we have a motion
We
second?
do not yet.
No,
We
you
don't have a motion yet.
Yes, we have a motion to request for proposal. I made that motion. Carrie, I think.
I'll second that.
Second it.
Okay, now, are there any questions or comments? Okay, I have motion second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Eric? get
For the
to-
record, do you know about how long you're gonna be before you come back before with some type of recommendation? You can put out requests, will it be 2 weeks or 3 weeks?
Probably 2 weeks.
Okay, we'll look for it, thanks.
Okay. Mental Health Board trustee appointments, they sent that letter that's copied there, and I highlighted the names of the people they've requested as appointees. Motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the appointment of the trustees on the mental health board.
I'll second that.
Okay, any questions, comments?
How are they identified and selected?
Yeah.
I reached out to Chris, which is their president, and Chris let me know I did not want to, as I told him, I did not want to micromanage what they do because they do a great job. But they have an application system that they use, and from those, then they talk to the people and see how interested they are and what background they have in that. So I did get to reach out to him. We talked about it. I think there's maybe another name or two to be added to that also in the near future.
And on this board in particular, they try to have representation from different parts of mental health services, not just, and it's more difficult for this body to say, okay, I think you need this. They should know, that board needs to know what nursing, what other professionals they need in that area.
I don't recognize anybody on there who might have a legal background. I think that's a very important
Well,
part
that's
of
good
the
to
know.
mental
That's actually-
conversation.
Well, you have that covered on the next slide. By legal, I'm talking about law enforcement, not.
No, I'm not talking about law enforcement.
Okay.
That would be, if you knew somebody that wanted to be on the mental health board that had a legal background, that would be amazing because you can only, it's hard enough to find volunteers, first of all. Second of all, to say, okay, I wanna be on the mental health board, which there is no money for it this time. So, I know there's others that have, tried to seek out and see if that was for them, so.
I've just never seen
See, there's some
anything.
other openings.
One,
There may
Next
be,
slide.
oh,
I've just never seen anything in our bar notices or emails, our local bar saying, hey, they're looking for volunteers to serve on the.
you may reach out to Chris. Chris has been open, he's our new president, and he has been amazing to talk to. And also the vice president that was there, our Candy, also, she is very good at that also.
How many members make up the board?
I think there were 11, and I believe it was 9 female and 2 male.
What does the gender have to do with anything?
I
It
just.
doesn't, but that's
It
what's on
doesn't?
there, yeah.
Okay, any, motion second, any other questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Would you like me to contact him as far as next year of making emails to the bar? Because that'd be great. Right now, they have no funding and no.
If they wanna reach out to him, I don't see why not.
Okay.
Yeah. Not-
The commission would like to consider adding one other name to this, and this is from the law enforcement side of it, because the jail is directly affected by the mental health situation of the community. So, someone make a motion for Jamie to be added?
I'd like to make a motion for an additional appointee of Jamie Crump.
I'll second
Mental
that.
health board.
All in favor? Our question, yes. Yes, Jamie, one.
What type of mental health services are being provided right now in this county? I thought that everything had been gutted, years ago.
We have a new, the old Mineral Area Regional Medical Center building has been donated for this purpose. There is a group working to make a very sustainable, long-term mental health facility there. for all ages.
Primarily for acute care, because the state dropped it, as you're aware of, a few years ago, and we have such a need in this area. We're trying to come up with an effort to take care of that need and backfill where the state dropped the ball, because now when somebody gets a call from somebody saying we have somebody that has some serious problem, we can't get them in any place in 10-county area. So we're trying to take care of our own problem, and we're working hard to figure out how we fund and then get reimbursed for having an acute care center there at the old center.
Okay, so is this gonna be a non-profit organization or for-profit?
They do everything volunteer as we speak right now. Everything they do is volunteer.
I'm
They
not talking
take
about this new facility.
we don't, that's preliminary.
The thrust right now is make it nonprofit and sustainable, as I said before. We're trying, that building is so huge that there may be, maybe apartment rentals to get someone started back on a footing where they can make it on their own, and that kind of thing.
I thought that the medical center had some problem with black mold. I guess that was just the rumors.
There's one wing that has that, but he's been spending thousands redoing it to make part of it that would be available for mental health services. And if you notice in the slide previous, I believe that is his wife or daughter, that the Sure She Can that's on there, that has a very big interest in this area. So they're trying to conceptually figure out how can they give part of it that would work and be self-sustaining through reimbursement from the state and through grants applications.
Okay, so is it going to be owned by the Sure She Can family?
That's just conceptual right now, and they don't know if they would be donating the facility, and then they would not be the owners. If that's
As I understand it, they are not involved with operation. They have said they would volunteer and donate a lot of the remodeling, or maybe even all of the remodeling necessary in the future.
But it's got to be feasible. We've got to have a business plan, even if it's nonprofit, to make it look like it's sustainable, rather than doing something and having him come in and put a couple $100,000 in remodeling to do the job, and we can't maintain it, and then we close it back down. So.
Okay, I have one more question. How does this work in the context of involuntary civil commitments through the court?
What's the question, who do you contact?
No,
No,
would this
involuntary.
facility be a place?
That is a great question, and they're hoping that part of this formula would be for that, because it's such a need. They have not got the approvals with the state mental health to determine what services they will be able to provide at this time. This is what very preliminary, very, very preliminary.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering how.
Yeah, because I personally think that would be, if they can accommodate that, that'd be huge, because we have a lot of people that are experiencing problems and have to be, and we have no place to take them.
Right.
And
we
need to give them some services.
And we have a lot of people who are experiencing problems and you have no way to pay for it and no insurance.
Definitely.
So that's what we gotta show, can we have enough grants, can we have enough state aid, can we get enough reimbursement for the state to be able to provide this, rather than starting something and shutting it down 6 months saying, this is just a totally loose proposition.
Okay, so if the county court orders someone involuntarily into a facility and this facility accepts them, would the county have to pay for that?
Well, that would not be, we're hoping that we can have a program where we can get it done through federal or state, because we do not have, that I'm aware of, the funds.
The system's not set up.
Set up for
We've
that.
had 2 meetings.
But there are other places that are doing this and are not supplying the funding for it. They're doing it through grant, through state reimbursement, and federal reimbursement. But we are so preliminary, we're trying to find out what the proper setup would be to make it take care of the needs of the area, not just, unfortunately, this county, because Madison County doesn't have any place. You know, Iron County doesn't have any place. Reynolds County doesn't have any place. But be able to do it in a sustainable, it would be irresponsible to start it up and not know how you're going to finance it. And so and we're so early on this. I don't even think that. I mean, they're just going to other places and say, how'd you do it? What can we do this? But we do have a facility targeted that is not only viable, it may be at the right price.
How many beds would be available?
We don't know that yet. Don't know that.
Is there any estimate? Because I know the hospital had, what, 10, 12 in their mental health unit.
It's not enough.
Yeah, it's not enough, and I was just wondering if this
No, no.
facility was gonna.
It's a
work
huge
on
building.
that.
And they're gonna have to do it in stages because, as you said, some of it has mold infestation. So work on that while we're using the other parts of the building.
Yeah, if you've been out in that building, there are 5 different phases of it. Some of it that's years old, some of it that's only a decade old. And so they're trying to use the most viable part and figure out how much they can accommodate. And that's gonna matter a lot, how many they can accommodate, how much the funding they're gonna
And when?
Is the county gonna contribute some funding to help make this happen?
Is the county
Is the county gonna contribute any funding to help make this happen?
too early to know?
This is all.
We don't know that.
Okay.
We do feel that the jail pressure will be released, but we don't know.
And one of the things, the portal from the federal government just opened yesterday that says what we can use this money, because if we use some of the money that's coming from the federal government, we don't know what for sure, but the portal we just got notice this morning that the portal opened yesterday, and if that, so we don't even know if that funds could be used, but it's definitely a possibility that we could tap into if the federal government says, yes, this is a need that's maybe related to COVID and could be used, you know, and so. I think this gentleman had a
Oh, yeah.
question.
I think I missed the justification of Jamie Trump being added to the board.
Yeah, that's gonna be my next.
Why was James Hunt
question.
added to the board?
What does the jail do in terms of detainees with mental health issues? Are there services provided for them if they come in, and services have been provided for them before they come in? Are they continuing to get those services while they're being held pending a trial?
Dan, you wanna answer that?
Yes, we have Jennifer Beardude with BJC that actually works through our healthcare company now and comes to the jail and visits with those folks and people that were prior had needs. She's usually familiar with them because she's a part of that, and now she actually works for our healthcare company at the jail.
Okay.
And the jail has been brought up by the board of being a point of first contact for a lot of the mental health problems, and they're gonna figure out a way to, what do you do with somebody that may not need to be incarcerated but needs mental help? And maybe they need mental help while they're being incarcerated. So they thought somebody that would be aware of what is happening there would be a good person, a resource on the board.
That's one of the needs for this new building, is that's where they end up now, at the county jail, and we're not really set up for that.
Yeah, deputy doesn't have any other place to take them.
Exactly.
Okay, so the county jail takes care of people who come in with mental health issues?
If they end up, the police called on them, they bring them to jail, because we have no other place to go with them. And then when Jennifer contacts them, a lot of times they would, she will go back and get with the family and get a bed, but it may be in Joplin, it may be in St. Louis, it may Kansas City, it could be anywhere, and then we transport to those places that have mental health beds available. Like you said, there's only 10 here locally here, and it doesn't take them long to fill up with 27 counties here with southeast Missouri.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, motion second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, let's back up now that, nope, I went past it.
All right, you voted to table.
Okay, here's your grant, Brian.
You voted to table this. Could you have a motion to bring it off the table and re-bring it up?
Okay, I'll make a motion that we
Bring the
had
table
tabled
back.
it, and we were bringing back up for the FY 2021 grant for the prosecutor's office.
I second.
Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Now,
Now you do it.
Ryan, please explain your grant.
All right, gentlemen, I do apologize for being late. Thank you for entertaining this proposal. So this is another grant that we've been seeking out. It's the Edmond grant from the Department of Justice. It's actually administered through the state. But in brief, the funds do allow for us to solicit funding for a prosecutor specifically for drug crimes and enforcement, with an emphasis on drug court if we can accomplish that. So I'm just asking for your approval to seek this grant, and then, you know, once we put all the numbers together, we can submit it by the end of the month.
This is not a new grant, this is a repeat.
Yeah, so it used to be called the Law Enforcement Bloc Grant that was administered through the state. I believe the Sheriff's Department has used it before, and I think Amber just came before the commission last week asking to apply for part of it. So,
So that's another part, okay. Because
Right.
we were talking about two things here, so that's.
yeah,
what
so
we're all
it's the same grant,
Same.
but two
Okay, so
different,
that's
two
what you
different
mentioned,
agencies,
okay.
two different purposes.
Okay, now do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we have Ryan, our prosecuting attorney's office, get approval for, or give them approval for seeking this grant.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay, now, questions? Yes, Bob?
So you're gonna use this grant to hire another prosecutor?
We're gonna try to, yes.
Okay, what happens to the money if you don't, use it to hire a prosecutor? Does it go back for the, and the reason I ask is that it was said earlier before you got here that this is something that, you know, mainly benefits poor counties who don't have the budget. I was not under the impression that St. Francis County was struggling like that financially. I thought that we had a budget surplus, and so I'm wondering if the money goes back into the pool to help a county that really can use it if we don't hire a drug court prosecutor.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, you're asking what happens to the money if we don't use it, or?
If you don't hire a prosecutor with it.
Yeah, it would go back to the state, because it's earmarked, whenever we submit the grant, it's earmarked for a very specific purpose. We're only allowed to use it for that purpose. So if we don't use the grant money within, I believe it's about 90 days, then it's done. It goes back to, we didn't fulfill our end of the bargain.
Okay. And so if you get the grant, you hire a prosecutor, that frees up other money in the prosecutor's budget to do other things.
Not with this grant. So what this is, we're asking for additional money from the state, earmarked only for that purpose. So this is not included in our current budget, and it would not be included in our budget. It's just a grant-funded position. So as long as the grant money's there, the position would be there. If the grant money dries up, the position dries up.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions, comments?
Thank you.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Okay, back to where we were, next regular meeting, next week, right here, same place, same time, and there's the address. Other business, correspondence, public comments, departmental reports.
From the Board of Equalization, you have to, in the upcoming couple weeks.
And we need one appointee on that.
You need at least one appointee. I think you will need two, but I'm not for sure.
Okay.
And we need to have those appointed. Before we do that, and for the public knowledge, we will start the Board of Equalization on the first Tuesday in July. We will be using all the Tuesdays, and I've got the schedules. We're going to use the ones that we fill in earlier in the month for the ones that come in early June. Then we will give the assessor time to work with the other people, and the last 2 weeks will be alternative dates so that we can go to them if necessary.
Okay.
Last year, we wouldn't have had to. The year before, we would have had to.
Okay, the two appointees, one will be involved, experienced in agriculture.
Correct.
And the possible one would be in real
Real
estate.
estate.
And we have another involved in banking, and he will stay, as far as we know. So,
As far as we know.
as far as we know. Okay, so we definitely need an agricultural appointee and possibly a real estate.
That's correct.
Okay, any other departmental reports? Now, put that picture up there, that's Parks, he's working too hard. Sales tax going up, but so is your price of materials, and that's got to be a big part of the sales tax increase.
I think we're really gonna start seeing these next few months, cause this is, especially this past month and
Think it'll slow off a little bit?
well, I think we're seeing a big jump right now because it's basically our economy was shut down at this point last year. I mean, nothing was really being, so I think that's why we saw such a big increase. It's not expected to increase like that every month. But I think
The state stated that the April numbers year over year were very much, I think they were up 30% because we were basically shut down in April. and then you have about a 30 to 45 day lag in the reporting. So we will get into the point where we reopen, and we may have an increase, but not.
And it'll be, I think it'll still be increased, but I think it's slowly gonna, I mean, hopefully we always have a little bit of an increase.
And the other factor for this county, we are a destination for people that are working on their properties. And if you remember, we got one of the stimulus, and people went out and bought things to redo their, if you couldn't get in Lowe's parking lot or Menards parking lot, and some of that was coming from out of the area here, which increased our sales tax, which eventually will have to fall.
Man, you can't buy a hot tub or a pool or one. You're way out because
Our chlorine.
look at what they sell over at the wholesale place there in Bonterra at Castings.
Oh,
They
yeah.
can't
The
get them in.
commissioners also want to point out at the same time, as you already referred to, the cost of doing business is also going way up for this county too.
Right.
So as we see the money coming in, you need to look at the back door to see the money going back out for the increase of expenses.
Okay, Vaughn?
This reminded me to ask, so what is the financial state of the county? Are we in the red or in black?
We're in the black.
So we have a budget surplus.
Now, this will be a rollback. These additional funds, because of the Hancock Amendment,
Right.
will be rolled back on county property tax.
So as we stand now in the county budget, are we in a surplus state right now?
We're in the black.
Okay, how much?
Depends on how you look at the budget. I mean,
Well,
a lot of it's pass-through money, but
when you do your annual state of the county report and you tell people how much money's left in the budget after all of our bills are taken care of, what's the number that you tell people now?
that changes by the month, and that was back months ago when we did that, so.
What was it?
I don't
back
have a
then?
current number.
Okay, well, what was it back then? The last time you did it?
That's been months ago, I don't remember.
Does anybody know what the current state of?
I mean, I can run reports, I mean, I had a meeting, I was coming from a meeting, I can run reports, I mean, we're posting, I mean, all our stuff's on the website too now. So, I mean, we're making, I mean, it's all public, everything's public on that.
Louis, when you did the actual budget, there was in the black, but it was by what, like 2% or something like that?
It's a little over 2%, and
Of the overall budget.
it's transparent on the website.
Okay. All the stuff is on the site?
It's on the website.
Just to put that number out there.
And the meeting agendas and the minutes of the meetings are now on the website?
Yep, have been since last January. What we went to here lately, as of last year, was putting every purchase is now on. Rhonda uploads every purchase, so that if it's a $25 item, is now people can see what it was purchases. And if it's not in the budget, then they have to approve it publicly.
And the cameras that were installed to record the meetings, are those videos online now too?
They're on YouTube.
Nice.
Everything.
And have been.
I like
And
it.
have been since January of last year. For these two gentlemen, they hopefully will never, in their tenure, have to, for a sunshine request, people say, what did we do? You remember, because we can go back and watch the video, we can watch the minute, everything is on since before they even came.
And
Everybody else, we say to January of 20, that's why we put it in that budget, my budget a couple years ago, so that we could start putting that thing in a timely manner on so that people would see it for transparency.
Same thing with emails going back and forth between private email accounts about county business?
That's not the case.
We're not doing that anymore?
I don't know if anybody is, I don't.
Well, I was just curious.
Yeah.
I know
I don't even
in
keep my
previous
own.
years that private cell phones and private email addresses were used for
And
county
absolutely,
business and those
we have
records.
eliminated that practice, we don't even have the private.
So have you been gathering those records from those previous prior communications and putting them in the record?
I have not been.
Okay.
As of, at January of 20, everything that we have is on there, because we don't have private phones anymore, I mean, that are used for, we don't have paid county phones,
Okay.
except there's some partial payments and reimbursement, but not totally. When we first came in, the clerk and several officials, commissioners and stuff had totally paid for phones, and we've discontinued the practice.
Okay.
Any other?
Is this your birthday today?
They didn't put any names up there.
Did I miss that? Shoot. Happy birthday.
Happy
I'm sorry.
birthday.
Man. I'm sorry.